Today on the Iron Infrastructure Podcast, had on good friend Andrew Guanciale. We talk about his journey through his youth through adulthood as a real estate agent, his travel, a pillar in the community, and how fitness has changed his life. Excited for you to hear it. Let's roll the show. Iron Infrastructure Podcast. So today I got my good friend Andrew Guanciale on. Andrew is in the residential real estate industry. He is a huge part of the community, a volunteer for multiple different organizations. He's also a ironhead like myself, and what better guest could you have than someone that enjoys the iron and the real estate industry and the infrastructure industry in general. So
absolutely,
Andrew, it's good to have you on. It's been a long time coming, man.
Thanks, Jake.
So you've been my realtor for a few years, I think, on and off. Made the last couple transactions for myself, and it went seamless. So anytime you net more than you list your house for, you got a damn good realtor. Just for a little plug there.
Thank you.
So let's start from the beginning. Talk about your childhood, growing up, area activity, where you went to school at, and all that.
Absolutely. So born and raised here in Newark, Ohio. Went to St. Francis de Sales, and then fed into Newark Catholic. Graduated from Newark Catholic in the late 90s, and then went to Capital University 4 years and graduated from Capital.
So what'd you get a Capital for?
I was in business finance.
Okay.
But honestly, it was like I didn't know.
Yeah.
You know, it's just kind of like, well, that sounds good, right?
Yeah, when you said Capital, I was interested. Normally it's a lawyer or some type of finance.
Yeah, they have a great law program and then pre-law, but no, just basically to graduate was my goal, and then figure it out from there. But so graduated Capital. When I was at Capital University, like my senior year, I got a job at Old Bag and Nails Pub that was down the street because all my friends were working and I was the only one without a job. So I was like, I got to do something. So went in and got a job waiting tables and bussing tables and stuff. And from there, I did a lot of traveling. So I'd wait tables, make some money, and then go overseas and travel for a month, run out of money, have to come back, wait tables.
So what was the spark for the travel? What was the inspiration behind that?
I think I just knew that there was either do it now because might not be able to do it later.
Retired 18 years old or 24 years old, whatever it was.
Yeah. So get it out of the way, kind of have your fun now because the point of going to college is to get a job. Point of getting a job is to go to work every day type thing. So did that, and then and then kind of knew couldn't do that forever. So I thought just family business was where it was at, and it's like, well, I'll do this until I figure out what I want to do. So that's what got me into real estate, I guess.
Do you think that the travel, especially overseas and seeing different geographical locations and all that, kind of sparked the real estate interest, or do you think it was just kind of a thing that you've been accustomed to your whole life?
You mean the real estate?
Yeah.
No, the real estate's been accustomed to it. After like my third stint of going over to Europe and goofing off for a month, it's kind of, nicely said to me, like, you don't have, we don't care what you do. You just got to do something, So, and it was like, well, I know I could still do what I want to do. And if I get my real estate license, it'd probably be pretty flexible to where I still can be somewhat independent and do what I want to do. Yeah. So the going overseas to travel here and there was more or less the opportunity just to get it done before I knew probably later in life it would be harder.
So this is something I never knew about you. So give me an example of some places that you went and favorite place.
Yeah. The first time I went, it was truly had a backpack and went over and met, I knew I had to be at this pub in London at 2 p.m. in the afternoon, and there was going to be other people there that were meeting up, and went by myself, met some other people, and we had a bus driver, had a tour guide, and for 30 days we were all together, about 30 of us.
So was that a group from college or?
No, nobody knew. I mean, it was everywhere. People from
just all over.
People from Japan, people from Australia, people from all over. So, nobody knew each other, history past, nothing. So that was real cool. Was there during 9/11, which was wild. But it was, we slept in like hostels, and we stayed. I mean, a couple places we stayed at. One was a zoo, So after hours, you're staying at the zoo. I mean, it was cool, I mean,
it sounds like some Phil Knight. I don't know if you ever read Shoe Dog,
No.
book by Phil Knight. So he, same type of thing. He went to Japan and all kind of places overseas, which is why Nike has such a big staple,
Okay.
Worldwide,
Yeah.
because of his like intense background and knowledge of China, Japan, all the places that he went and visited. It sounds almost like that though. Like you said, screw it, I'm just gonna go do whatever the hell I want,
Yeah.
and it's gonna be on my time. And just,
I mean, I was 22 years old.
mhm.
Nothing can stop you.
Yeah, well, yeah,
Get over there, and I mean, but you didn't have a cell phone.
Right.
So I mean, you went over there, and
which probably made it easier, honestly.
Oh, dude,
not
yeah.
being connected
well,
to the world
and
to some degree.
you're with 30 people on a bus traveling for 30 days, and when you're on the bus, you're talking to each other.
It's all authentic. That's all you got.
Yeah. And when you're eating dinner, everybody's talking to each other.
Mhm.
Now I was over at COTC the other day, and walked down the hallway, and kids are waiting for their classes to start, and they're all in the hallway on their phones. Not one of them talking to each other.
Right.
And that's about the third time I've seen that, where you're just like, nobody's having a conversation.
Right. It's so interesting because I grew up with a flip phone Nextel that would beep all the time when it went in and out of service with the walkie-talkie.
Mm-hmm.
I think I was 16 when I got that phone. Cell phones were just starting to become like common and more used, and text messages were just like, that was at the very beginning of that. But now, I mean, having an intelligent conversation with someone is almost like a pastime.
Yeah.
Where it really doesn't happen.
Yeah.
And even having a face-to-face meeting, I mean, 90% of my meetings, especially after COVID, are Teams or Zoom meeting, right?
Yeah.
So you don't really meet in person that often. It's interesting how 10 or 15 years ago even, a meeting was where we eat lunch at, where we having beer at, where's dinner at. But now it's obsolete.
Yeah.
Hindsight being what it is, looking at how things used to operate compared to now, save a lot of damn time.
I know.
I don't like it as much. It doesn't create such a personal relationship, but there's a lot of meetings that don't need to have the 3 hour of travel impact and all that that can be avoided with a 20-minute Teams meeting.
Yeah.
So it's give and take, I think, but
I know.
building a network of solid, like true, trustworthy people is more difficult now, I think.
Yeah.
Unless you put yourself out there and are willing to.
Yeah.
And then the social awkward aspect of some people that have been isolated, and you probably see it a lot, especially with homeowners and going to see houses and dealing more in person with that.
Yeah. I get a lot of, and you still get a lot, and it does save time, and you hate to say it, but to go see somebody's house, you got to go. It's
you got to go see it.
You can't sit in your office and say, well, let's FaceTime about it. I mean, you can, but it's not feasible.
Right.
But just even over the last year, you still almost you don't assume, hey, let's go meet in person first. You almost say, hey, is it okay if we meet here, or and you still get the people that, well, can we just talk on phone about it first, and then I mean. Yeah, it's no, and talking about Jim, but it's no different than instead of you coming in here at ass crack of dawn to saying, well, I'm just going to walk out to my garage.
Right.
You saved some drive time.
Right.
You might get to work 45 minutes earlier,
Yep.
and you got the same thing in. Now the camaraderie wasn't there.
The atmosphere, the push, the connection, I would say.
Yeah.
Is a lot different.
Yeah. It's just like your team at work, right?
Mm-hmm.
If they might see your car there, but if they don't see you, at least walk through the
100%.
garage
Yep.
and just shake hands.
Yep.
How was your weekend?
Right.
How's your daughter doing? Is she
Right. feeling
better?
Yep.
That type stuff. How was your trip?
Yep.
I mean, that goes a long way versus just saying, well, I guess Jake's here. So,
Right. There's been a huge struggle for me, especially in the last couple of years as our business is growing and we're doing a lot more business development growth, initiative, and not as much field operation excellence, oriented kind of stuff. Where it's time to grow geographically, as a business owner, it's time for me to grow personally and the team to grow.
Yep.
So it requires a lot of travel from me outside of our operation. And we have a team around us now with our operation that I don't have to be there to make sure it's going good.
Yeah.
But I do have to make sure that the culture's good.
Yep.
I always swore that everyone would know who I am.
Yeah.
And it's probably out of, roughly 100 people, probably half of them, I may have shook their hand once, but I probably couldn't tell you what their name is if I seen them again.
Yeah.
And I hate it.
Yeah.
And I've been making this, like promise to myself every quarter. I'll see, every crew get out the job site, and I haven't quite held up to that, promise yet.
Do you
but
find
it's tough.
that? Well, and that's out of all the stuff you're part of and good at, and goals and focus and discipline, and that's your baby, right? So it's like, how do you, say, well, that's probably the most, other than your family, it's probably the top most important thing to you. Like,
everybody
why
on that team,
Yeah.
everyone on that. So everything we do, like your business and your career, you do it because you're passionate about it, but you really do it for your family, to support your family, to show them a better way of life maybe than what you had, or show them opportunity that you may not have been shown, or you just want to show them the same thing that you had. Whatever it is, you want to provide a good lifestyle for them. Well, everyone on the team that we have, all 100 people, I feel personally accountable for their family.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I make a wrong decision, it can impact everyone there.
Yeah.
Right. So I feel obligated to make the right decisions every day, or at least with intention, make the best decision.
Yeah.
Right, wrong. You're always gonna make wrong decisions.
Yeah.
But for some reason, it seems so difficult because it's not just a day. If I want to go see everyone on the team, it's 2 to 3 days, and I'm working 12 to 16 hours a day, if not more. And I still have to do my job on top of that. So when I do it, I'm very strategic about it, where I actually map out the locations, the hotels I'm going to stay in, try to make sure that my daughter don't have jiu-jitsu that night.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
My family's going out to the in-laws this night for pizza, so I'll stay out of town that night.
Yeah.
And then it's tough though.
It's strategic.
It is tough. It has to be planned out to some degree. It does make it difficult though. And then I'm a very structured type person. 4 days of the week I'm at the gym. I have one day where I structure, a couple extra hours of sleep, do active recovery at the house. I have a plan in place that I follow. And when I break that routine, I broke it this week.
Well, you know how important it is.
The discipline is a lot harder whenever you're out on an island and you're out of your environment.
Yeah.
Discipline for me is fairly simple when it's, even if I get home at midnight and have to be up at 3, I can do that if I'm in my bed at night, even if it's only for 3 hours.
Yeah.
But when I'm in this week at the Hilton downtown Columbus for a 2-day leadership team meeting or whatever it may be, when you get out of your element, it does make it more difficult.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, and that's interesting. You talk about you can go to bed at midnight and still wake up at 3. But if you feel like, you might be whooped, Kenzie might be tired of hearing you wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning or whatever. But, if you're fired up, I can't wait to fucking get there.
So
there's something about that.
And Corey talks about this all the time. It's not an emotional decision. It's just what I have to do. My alarm goes off. It's not like, oh man, I'm tired today. I'm tired every damn day.
I know.
There isn't a day I wake up and I'm not tired.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter if I'm tired.
Who
I
cares?
still got to go.
Who cares?
And I'll be honest, there's 3 to 4 times a year where my alarm clock goes off for 4 hours straight and I won't wake up. There's been time, it just happened to me a couple months ago, maybe a month ago. I think it was a Thursday. I woke up 7 o'clock, my alarm clock is still going off, all the alarms are still set, and my phone's on the ground. I have no idea how that happened. And I didn't, I mean, I'm sure I heard it and smacked the phone or something.
Your body told you to go.
I was out of it, but I mean, there's times when that does happen.
Yeah.
Because obviously I needed it.
Yeah.
But for the most part, my alarm goes off at 3, I wake up.
Yeah.
As long as I wake up, I'm getting up out of bed.
Yeah.
I'm already awake.
Yeah.
What am I going to do? Roll over and go back to sleep,
No.
right?
No.
So
Get another hour.
Yeah. Yeah, that ain't going to do me nothing. I might
No.
as well get up and go do something
Yeah.
at that point. And then my quality of sleep's not going to be there. So, but for me, I just made that decision probably 2.5 years ago is when I started coming back to the 4 a.m. crew. And then I finally found a routine that worked for me after injuries and business and all that. So these are my non-negotiables. And if it's midnight, I should have went to bed earlier.
Yeah.
Because I got to get up at 3.
Yeah.
That just is what it is. So, but as you get into that routine, it makes life not easy, but it makes it simple. Because it's routine, right?
I think it makes it simple on the fact that you don't have to think about that part. That's kind of checked off the list, so you can worry about the other shit that you need to worry about.
My gym clothes are set out every night. My gym bag's there. My jug with aminos is already prepared in it. I wake up, whether I'm conscious or not. Half the time I'm not conscious till I'm through my warm up.
Yeah.
But once I get moving, it's time to go.
Well, you prepared. That's why.
Yeah.
And if you had to open up all the drawers and make noise and all the stuff,
it's not gonna work out very well, right?
You're not gonna. Yeah.
So let's talk about the iron game a little bit. So give me some background. I don't know if you played any sports in high school. Did
Just
like
basketball, and I was about half good.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, Newark Catholic
Did
basketball.
you play Capital?
No.
Just
no.
Catholic. Yeah.
Yep, just Catholic. No. You know, went to a big football school, and you know, was the only.
Well, I know. I go to Licking Valley, and we like to stomp your ass every chance we get.
Yeah.
Even though I don't know the last time we did, but
yeah.
Whenever
a couple years
I was in school,
that was the big rivalry.
Oh yeah,
yeah. But no, you know, and that was, you know, never worked out in high school. You know, if there was I had tutors all through high school though, just to kind of keep up. So I always got out of doing stuff if I could. You know, there was no way.
So what sparked your interest in working out?
You know, about 4 years. It was right before it was a month before my 40th birthday, and I was just like, you know, your buddies that, you know, go to the gym or just people go, you know, work out or keep up. And I never did shit. You know, it's just like, you know, my son, I think, was maybe like, you know, 6 years old, 7 years old. And, you know, I told him, I told myself, I guess, like, you know, I want to stay in shape in case I carry him to bed every night or do something, you know. And so I was just like, you know, and it was right before, it was, you know, 6, 7, 8, 9 months before COVID. And, you know, just that, you know, I'm going to get to the gym and do some stuff and just kind of have a little bit of an addictive personality. And it just was like, man, this feels good.
Yeah.
You know, and
because you probably didn't feel good, but didn't realize it until you started feeling good.
You know, and I would go early, and that going early was like, okay.
It's therapeutic.
It's therapeutic. You get that out of your system. And I mean, I was a horrible eater. So getting that workout in early, I felt like I would ruin it if during the middle of the day.
You worked your ass off. I'm not going to go, eat a 6-pack of donuts. And
you know, and then, but I love having beers with my buddies.
Right.
I love that part, you know. So then it got to the point like, man, we had beers last night and I feel like crap when I woke up.
Yep.
So then it's like, okay, how can I get to bed earlier, avoid the beers, avoid that, you know. But so past 4 years or so, just like that's, you know, I don't have I don't do anything crazy, don't travel a ton, don't do a ton of stuff, but that, you know, get in the gym every day. And, you know, sometimes there's twice a day where, you know, go to the gym in the morning, but at night I'll do the rower or in the winter doing Peloton at night. Just something. It's like, man.
So it keeps you out of the beer and out of the
keeps me out of trouble.
Chaos.
Yeah, my son goes to bed about 8:30 every night, and I just go to bed with him.
Yeah.
Because so I know I don't sit up and find a show on Netflix, have a bourbon that leads to 3.
Yep, understood.
And then when it's time to wake up at 4:30 in the morning to get psyched up about going to the gym.
Yeah, you brush your teeth and smell bourbon and taste bourbon.
Worse. I know. I should have went to bed and not had a bourbon when I take my pre-workout to the dome. And when I shake my head with the water,
like
if it
hurts, at the mouth.
If it hurts, I fucking like I should have went to bed.
They're foaming at the mouth. I can't breathe. I've done that a couple times.
So there's that. But no, dude, I just love the every aspect of it right now.
So it's amazing. You know, I talk about focusing on your wellness or your illness, and so many people don't realize that they're focused on their illness. They're just not conscious of it or not aware. Like, you know, us focusing on our wellness, we have to take steps every day to focus on it. And when you don't focus on your wellness, you're focusing on your illness. It's just a delayed timeline. So your lack of accountability on a day-to-day ends up leading to, you know, people getting diabetes, you know, overweight, obesity, blood pressure, whatever it may be. And when you're unconsciously making bad decisions, it leads to a spiral that is, if you don't catch it or do something about it quick enough, sometimes it's almost too late, where to actually overcome it and make the change, it's almost impossible.
Yeah.
Right. I'm someone that says nothing's impossible, but if you don't create awareness or accountability for yourself soon enough, it becomes very difficult. And people are like, well, I struggle being consistent. You know, no, you don't. You consistently eat bad.
Yeah.
You consistently make the wrong decisions. You consistently oversleep and overeat.
If you want it that bad, you'll figure it out, right?
If you can consistently make the wrong decision, just imagine what you could do if you make the right decision.
Yeah. It's like being late to a meeting, right?
100%.
You look at that person and say, this wasn't a priority to them.
I went through the same amount of traffic you did. I had the same thing. My kid was up at 2 a.m., you know, screaming.
Yeah.
We all have excuses, right?
You know, you get to a meeting 5 minutes late, sorry, I was, so you're already starting to apologize,
Yeah.
I mean, for this, I set my alarm at 12:30 to go off because I wanted to get here early.
I'm getting bad about it now. I don't know if it's because I'm so busy or what it is. There's certain meetings where I'll be an hour early if I have to. But I used to tell people I would rather be 2 hours early than 2 minutes late.
Yeah.
I being late used to be such a non-negotiable for me that like it would drive people crazy. Like my wife we would go to a cookout. It starts at 1 o'clock, and I'd be there at 12:45, and the food's not even out to be cooked yet. She's like, okay, this is kind of ridiculous, right? Now I'm much different now. Where if we're supposed to be there at 1, it might be 1:15 or whatever.
Yeah.
There's a place and time though. I know that I'm going to be there when I absolutely I cannot be there late.
Yeah.
Right. So it does become a priority now. Like for me, I know now that some things are not really a priority.
Yeah.
Like it's more flexible.
Well, like cookout, you got to be there at 1.
Right.
If you're rolling at 1:20, there's going to be 3 other people rolling at 1:20.
Nobody cares.
It's a cookout, right? But if
you're going to a board meeting or something like that.
Meeting with Cody.
Yeah.
And
we got to be there.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got timelines on it. So I think there's a huge parallel between wellness, taking care of your body and your mind. To me, wellness, fitness, the iron game in itself, so much more than just physical picking up weights and putting down weights, right? So personal development for me has been an absolute game changer. I talk to you about strategic coach all the time, and I'm pretty sure you're going to sign up after we get done talking here today. I can say that is the one thing that has absolutely transformed my thought process on a day-to-day basis more than any. Personal development was big before I went there, but then taking the personal development and seeing this network of 20 or 30 other people that are like-minded, like myself, times 10 as far as advancement in their career. And you walk into a room where normally you probably walk in a room, more than likely you're one of the most accomplished people in that room, right? Very rarely do you probably walk into a room and someone is that much higher on an accomplishment scale than what you are. But you walk into coach and it's very humbling. It took probably a year and a half before I would really speak out in front of everyone and talk about what I was working on. And it just happened to last probably 3 to 4 quarters where people were coming to me asking questions. Or I'm talking about a podcast that I'm starting, or, a book that I'm writing, or something in the fitness realm that I'm doing. And now it's starting to be like, okay, that tide's starting to transfer for me, where now I'm getting asked questions of interest, where before I was just listening.
You were listening.
And now I'm much more outspoken, right?
Yeah.
So the transformation of strategic coach is absolutely phenomenal. But talk about your personal development, what you do for personal development, your favorite type of books, and then the power of your network within who tells you a lot.
No, and that's true. And I still consider Newark, Granville, Heath, Licking County, small town feel. And it's you can't go out to eat or go somewhere without knowing at least most of the room.
Right.
Whether it's Roosters or going down to Elliott's or just Moe's or whatever, which is blessing and a curse. I think in business aspect, and especially in my world, I guess, of networking and being visible and staying top of mind, it's a good thing. Where years ago it was tough because you couldn't go out and just live it up, but I still think you're the sum of the 5 people you hang out with the most. So kind of keeping in it's like, could you go to Planet Fitness because it's closer to your house? Sure. But you come in here and grind with
a bunch of savage ass crazy fuckers. Yeah.
So, I think and especially, I know you're a lot younger than I am, but at a certain age, it's like, okay, who am I going to spend my time with?
Well, and like Andy and Brandon Hess, I know you spend a lot of time with them. They're both very accomplished. Show me who your network is. Show me who that circle of friends are. You are a sum of your network. So if you're hanging out with a bunch of shitheads, you're going to become a shithead. It's inevitable. Yeah. But if you're hanging out with people that are like-minded, that expect accountability, they're disciplined. Yeah. Even if you're going out for a beer on Friday night or a couple of drinks for the Buckeye game, or you're getting shit hammered plowed at a Buckeye game on Saturday, right? Sunday you're waking up and going back to what you need to do, right? Monday you're still going back to the real estate, the business. People. Corey always talks about Arnold Schwarzenegger. He said, with all that discipline, you got to have a little dysfunction. Yeah. Right. Sure. We're high stress, high risk, high go individuals where if we're going to be dysfunctional, we're probably going to be a little more dysfunctional than what we need.
Yeah.
It just doesn't happen very often.
You got to let it loose a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And that's tough, but
and we regret it every time, you know,
Yeah.
especially as we, I'll say accelerate our age, get older, whatever you want to call it. But there has to be a release of some sort, because if not, we're going to implode.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Which so many people implode without needing that.
Yeah.
And never get back on track.
Yeah.
So what about books, personal development? Do you listen to audiobooks? Are you a book reader? What's your...
I struggle a lot with sitting down, taking time and finish. I go to bed early. I wake up early.
Mm-hmm.
The best time that I should probably be picking up a book is probably when my alarm goes off 4:15. But I start kind of already thinking about the day and whatever. I hate to say it, but anymore it's just easier to listen to something, and anymore it's a lot of small little just motivational, whether it's from Instagram where you're listening to somebody do a 30-second talk on something, and you're just like, man, I picked up some little seeds out of that's gonna just get me going for the day. It's a little bit more instant gratification.
But sometimes that's what you need. So there's books that I'm an audiobook person. For me to physically sit down and read a book, for one, to have a space where I'm not being bothered is rare.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing that I found is on audio, I can turn it up to like 1.2 or 1.5 with a monotone narrator.
Okay.
So I turn it up and it forces me to pay attention.
Yeah.
Where if it's real slow, talking monotone,
I'll
fall asleep. I won't pay attention.
Yeah.
And 5 minutes later, I have no idea what was just said.
Yeah.
But if it's sped up, and then the compound effect, every minute kind of counts.
Yeah.
So on the way to the gym, I'm normally listening to some like Cut Your Throat, death metal, something, or some rap, like Lil Wayne, Nightmares of the Bottom was this morning, I think, like there's something I'm listening to wake my ass up before I get in here. But after the gym, my mind automatically goes right to personal development. So flavor of the week or the month or whatever I need to pay attention to. Mm-hmm. Like this morning I started Profit Works, and I have a 4-hour work week, like also started. One thing I am bad about is having a lot of books started at once, but I've had a lot of books that I've went through maybe half of it and then stopped. Did a summary review of the end of it because I captured, I thought, what I needed out of it.
Gotcha.
So like the Checklist Manifesto was a book that was really, really good about detailed eliminating human error, right? Mm-hmm. And this was in the medical industry, but it talked about, 1 through 10, here's the steps that you need to take when you do this procedure, right? There were so many, different checklists and books to read on this one procedure, 1 through 10, make it simple, and then go that route. And then whenever you follow it, you check it off that you did the task. And we do a lot of that with our training the natural gas side of what we do. So it's been implemented with us through the business side, and eliminating human error is a huge thing for us. Like trying to mitigate risk is a high priority always in our industry. But the Checklist Manifesto kind of went through that, and halfway through, I'm like, I get it. I need a checklist, and I know how now. Yeah. So I'd research the end of it, and there was nothing that I didn't already gather.
Got to the point.
So every book that you read, 10, 20% of something that you're going to retain that is either important, you never heard, or that you think is valuable. Yeah. Outside of that, majority of it you're not going to. Yeah. So I used to try to finish every book, take notes, do summaries, do all that, and I realized, hey, if I don't finish this book, I'm just not into it. It's not for me, or I'm going to at least look at the summary to finish that book, and I don't have any guilt. Yep.
See, that's the worst part done. Is not getting through or halfway through the book, and then you feel like you failed.
I don't feel like I failed if I got what I needed out of it. Yeah. And it was a shift for me. I'm by no means a perfectionist, and if you have a perfectionist thing like at all, I know people not seeing that 100% that they completed that book would feel like failure to them, right? Well, scroll through 100% and do the damn summary and get over it, right? So for me, like it's just my failure is quitting when I needed to continue to apply myself on it. Yeah. But a success or a win is also knowing that I got what I needed for me and time to move on to the next thing.
Are you a checklist person?
No. So my organizational skill set would probably be a dumpster fire on NOS, and that button's constantly pushed. Yeah. I shortcut multitask when it comes to organization, so I have no follow-through organizational skill at all. I learned that through the Colby Index and Strategic Coach, which I'm interested to see what yours is. Yeah. You're probably much more follow through organizational like mindset.
I feel like I'm last minute, or not last minute, but like work good under pressure. Like if I need to have if I find out Monday morning I need to have a report done by Wednesday, I'm like Tuesday night, Wednesday at 4 a.m.
Yeah. So
and I think I still do a good job, but it's just like that sense of urgency is,
There's a lot with the perfectionism and procrastination too that are very linked together, where so many people strive for this perfect thing, right? Perfect don't exist. Your perception of what's perfect is different for everybody. Mm-hmm. So a lot of people procrastinate because they're trying to get this perfect goal achieved when perfect isn't measurable a lot of time, right? Well, that's not good enough. Well, what is good enough? Show me the measurable of what you're trying to achieve, and let me see what that looks like. Show me what perfect is. And I bet 99% of your perfectionists cannot show you what perfect looks like, but they expect it. So it's like this unattainable, made-up goal or function that you're trying to get to that doesn't really exist. And that came from Coach also. So there's a lot within Strategic Coach that opened my eyes to the people around me where, that person's definitely procrastinator because they're a perfectionist.
Everybody can pick each other out now. Makes
and
sense.
It's interesting, the cognitive tests you take, the unconscious motivators and your strength finders and all the different reports that we do within that to create your like profile. Mm-hmm. It's amazing what you learn about yourself.
And that's helped you organize your company, right?
For the most part. I mean, it's really helped us. So we have an operating system now, which has created a real good structure, but that operating system really did stem from Strategic Coach, what we learned, what Cody and myself learned, and kind of implemented with, each other as business partners, but then in our organization as well. I am not a checklist person for me, but I need my assistant or whoever to be a checklist person at the highest level.
Yeah, delegate.
Yeah. Who, not how is another concept out of Strategic Coach. Complete mindset changing if you apply it. Mm-hmm. And it's the 99 Bulls or the 90s Bulls, right? Michael Jordan, came in mid-'80s, didn't win anything until he had Phil Jackson, Scottie Pippen. So Michael Jordan was the best by himself player, but it wasn't the best team because he didn't have people around him. So bring in who? The best coach. Who? The Robin to the Batman, right? And the surrounding pieces. Then with that go Michael Jordan, everybody excelled. Yeah. That's how I try to look at business too. He brought everybody up, and if you didn't like it, he'll punch you in the mouth like Steve Kerr and throw you out the door or whatever. Don't matter. But he's going to win, and you're either on the team or off the team. I look at that now with people that I trust, my network. Like, I want to open up a window of opportunity for me and open up yours too. I'm not shutting yours down. I'm opening up yours. I want us all to go up. Yep. So that who, not how has always been a strong concept too. I really learned from it all sends back to personal development. Yeah. I always try to listen though. So instead of listening to the radio, listen to a book.
Make it worth
Just have it like a habit where, my Bluetooth is hooked up, and as soon as I hop in my truck, it's already playing. Yeah. So I don't even have to think about it, right? Back to setting your gym clothes out at night. It's already there. It's already prepared.
That's something I need to put in place is that time. I don't have a far drive in between gym and home in the morning, but I do. I just turn whatever highway on and just listen. But at least, 3 minutes in the car would be something.
It's amazing. And then what you'll find is like you'll get clarity out of it because I only got 5 minutes left of this chapter. I'm going to sit in the parking lot for an extra 5. I'm going to finish this chapter. And then I'm going to go implement what I just learned within my business because it was something that meant, it was impactful to you. So I think there's definitely some carryover there, just maximizing every minute. Yeah. But understanding how sometimes or being aware of how sometimes is also powerful.
Kind of get you fired up for the.
Yep. So, all right, with that, we're going to take a commercial break. This episode is brought to you by Corey G Fitness. Go to CoreyGFitness.com for all your training, nutrition needs, personal development, enhanced lifestyle. CoreyGFitness.com. All right, back from commercial break, and we got Andrew Guanciale here on the Iron and Infrastructure podcast. So we touched on a lot of the iron. Let's get into the infrastructure. We're in Licking County. Central Ohio is absolutely booming right now. 2023, kind of the beginning of it. Yep. There's a lot that's happened in the last 5 to 8 years. We've done a lot of underground construction, especially in the electric realm in New Albany, different areas like that. We laid the natural gas line to Facebook, did a bunch of different things on the utility side once the development really started. Yeah. In 2015 to 18 or 19, But now, infrastructure in general is insane in this area. So, give me your thoughts on it from a realtor standpoint to just overall what you're seeing and what you're predicting.
And it's funny because just last Thursday, buddy and commercial realtor Brandon Hess and I spoke at it was the financial planners group of Licking County, and he brought up the fact we were talking this exact topic, and he said, a couple years ago, he said about 8-9 years ago, our good friend and neighbor Rick Reed was saying, I don't know what's coming, but we're doing it all, and it's going to be big. He goes, the size stuff they have us running, the places they have us running it to, I'm not sure what's going to happen, but just watch out.
Right.
Here we are.
Yeah.
It's going to be, I think, I'm 44. I think between our ages and stuff, we're going to be very fortunate where we're at now to see what 40 years from now looks like in Licking County. The older generation is very, they're going to miss some of it. And I think that, but it's going to, we saw a map the other day, half of New Albany is in Licking County now. It's grown that big. About a year and a half ago, myself and some members from the chamber flew out to Chandler, Arizona, where the Intel facility is.
Yeah, did you get to go see it?
It took us about 45 minutes just to drive around it in a van. It's been there since 1989, and there were still 50 or 60 massive cranes building the next part of it.
The supply chain? Is that what they're doing now? Supply chain for Intel?
So it was just like this, it's going to go on and on and on. And but the most interesting part too was the town that it's in. I mean, it's gorgeous. You drive through it, you don't see a Moo, you don't see an AutoZone, you don't see all the, Bojangles, you don't see all the stuff. It's there, but they don't let you see it. So all of this new area that they're going to be developing, it's going to be pretty, it's going to be nice, it's going to be streetscaped, it's going to be
white picket fence, brick.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit of that New Albany replication.
So it'll be super interesting. I think just driving down 21st Street or something today is a zoo. Just wait. I mean, it's going to be, it's going to be wild, and it's going to be growing, and it's, I think we're really seeing it now too with, last 3 weeks ago, everybody in Licking County got your new property tax letter in the mail, what your value is. I mean, it's great. Our values are going up.
Do you know what the average increase was?
I don't specifically, but I know it's based on area. When I say area, it's based on all the way down to neighborhoods. You can look at the map and see, you can go by neighborhoods. So if you zoom over a neighborhood, all the houses in that neighborhood might say 54%, all about 54, and this was, every 3 years. So 3 years ago when they did this, wasn't that big a deal. The 3 years before that, they haven't done commercial property reevaluations in 6 years. The last time it was up, they just said, let's just leave it. So right now you're seeing, the mall just sold.
Gotcha.
And the increase in value from the letter that just came out, I mean, I think it was in the 60s.
Do you think that's going to be a mall plus or minus 10 years?
I think it's
turned into a warehouse of some sort?
I don't know. I don't see it being a warehouse. I still think it'll be a mall. I think it'll just, we're going to have something.
What's the attraction anymore? You always see vacancies there. And
I don't know.
I
The
mean,
only
it
time
feels
I
like
go
the
there
last
is for
15 years.
to go to the gym or go to Dick's or go to Massey's.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's not, I mean, you don't go get dropped off by your parents and
right,
hang out
exactly.
anymore
And that used to be like the homie hangout for me when I was growing up. And, and now it's like a dead zone.
But there's plans, around that, and I think it's going to be insane. The average sale price of a house, the street on the other side of the street from the Intel facility in Chandler, Arizona, is a townhome. $940,000 is the average price of the house that you can see from the parking lot.
And that's all going to be employees of Intel, right? So it's going to be a community essentially built around Intel.
You know, when we were out there and talking to their, kind of basically their chamber, they had a map, and it was kind of like here's ground zero, here's the Intel facility here, and it had 2 circles. And he pointed to the outside circle, which was about 25, 35 minutes from the site, right? And he said, this is where the affordable housing is, because prices were so crazy around it. So that's where the majority of the employees at that time kind of live, and it's nothing for somebody that's been in the corporate world or that world for a long time to drive 35 minutes to work. I mean, no big deal. Yeah. So
does Intel, and I don't know this, but does Intel have any type of like home buyout based on performance or any type of incentive for home buying or anything like that, with it being that way? I know they talked about different schools being built for Intel, different, applications for programs and stuff you can apply for, whatever. But
with regards to home buying out things, the corporate people, the management level people and up, if they're coming from somewhere, they have a relocation program that helps them out just so they can get here and start working, so that their family on the other end. But to talk about the hiring part of it, COTC here in Newark right now has a certificate, a semiconductor certificate that they just put in place. I think it's probably it's like 21 credit hours. But you're basically guaranteed
a spot.
Yeah, I mean, so if you're graduating from high school, don't know what you want to do, and don't want to go to a 4-year college, or there's some.
It's essentially a half a year in a community college or whatever.
Yeah,
that would,
and to pay for it, and there's scholarship, and there's it's going to be they said if your third grader right now is not being talked to about Intel and knowing what it means and learning about this stuff, they should be, because they're going to be the ones that are working there.
Right.
So
I know, I don't know if Jim Leonard went with you or not, if you know Jim.
I do know Jim. I can't remember if he was on that trip or not.
Yeah, so he was actually my basketball coach when I was in high school, maybe.
Okay.
So I think he was my basketball coach for a year or two, and then I helped him coach a team for a year or two after. And then when I was doing work in the field, he was at Johnstown, and then I connected with him a little bit after. I know he did a presentation my business partner went to. I wasn't able to make it, but he had talked about the ripple effect. And the one thing that wasn't really considered was the amount of people that would never leave as far as the construction workers go.
Yeah.
Because you have phase one is $2 billion, right?
Yeah.
But that's phase one of 5.
Yeah.
So you have this $10 billion potential, plan in place, and only phase one is applied for, the land is bought. But the supply chain to support Intel was the next 4 phases. And that's what I'm assuming you've seen some of that out there. But that was a lot of the message behind of it. And 3,000 to 5,000 construction workers come because they never have to leave. Yeah. So you mentioned what in '89 or whenever that was in Chandler. Yeah. Well, the construction's still going on.
Yeah.
So basically you're relocating a guaranteed place to have a career.
Yeah. Just in the last probably 6 months or so, two sales that have had related to Intel weren't Intel employees. One was a young guy that works at Boeing and Heath. He lives in Upper Arlington, and he don't want to fight the traffic, so he moved. Mm-hmm. And then had a guy who's going to be here in 5 years. He's done this for the last 20 years. Intel built a new site, and he knows he's going. They built a new site, and he was going. So he went ahead and bought a house because he knows it'll be cheaper to do it now than 5 years.
Can you imagine?
No, but that's his lifestyle. He just knows he's going to be following it.
That's a lot of faith in the company you work for to think, in 5 years I know I'm going to relocate and do this.
Yeah, might as well do it. He's probably going to save $150,000 or so. But it'll be interesting to see how many. I think if you own, and I've talked about this a little bit in the past, but I think if you own rental property, it's just going to surge. Yeah, because people are going to come in and stay. Will people move here permanently for work? Yeah. It's going to take time, though. Yeah. Nobody, it's no different than you saying to Mackenzie, hey, we're moving to Arizona because Cody and I think we're going to start a branch of R&R pipeline. and you say, I'm going now, and then get the house ready.
Yeah.
Call Andrew when it's ready.
Yeah.
You know, and she's like, wait, all my friends are here.
Yeah.
My family's here. The girls love
Good
their
thing we ain't
friends
got
in
no
school.
friends, so we don't need that.
You know, so it's like, you know, she's going to say, why don't you go out there, find out if it's really going to work.
Right.
And if it does, then we'll come visit
Right.
and do what, you know, but it's going to be interesting to see because FaceTime, everybody's so mobile. You know, you can text 30 times a day. You know, you can fly home easily than you could 20, 30 years ago. So it'll be very interesting to see how integrated Intel and Intel related company employees get in the area
Before it's even ready.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's very intriguing. I never really thought about that. You know, for me, I know traveling, you know, more now than I ever have. And I think the first 2 quarters of this year, I probably traveled more than any other year, you know, previously. And all for business, you know, fortunate enough to have a 4 or 5 day trip with the family. You know, different associations we're part of that had a family-based summer event where you got a few hours of business throughout the day and networking at night after the wife and kids go to bed. But, you know, it was family-oriented activities and whatnot. It's still not the same, especially with kids. You know, my daughter see me on a screen, I'm not there. We're not high-fiving, fist-bumping, doing jiu-jitsu, whatever it is. So it is different. That would be very difficult, too, to...
I couldn't do it. A lot of people have in the past, but, you know.
You know, me and Mackenzie had aspirations of actually going to Florida probably just a few years after we got together. So we had looked at different places, and really Lakeland, Florida, for whatever reason, was like the honey hole for where I wanted to go because it was in between, I think, Tampa and Orlando, like directly in the middle of it. And it was a place that I could go, you know, get another career started. Obviously, this was before our pipeline was purchased. And it had, maybe it was just a little seasonal depression during the winter and being cold and being broke and the trailer running out of heat twice and, you know, cold as hell every night, whatever it was. I'm sure that was a lot of it. And I think I did all right not leaving for Florida. But
good choice.
There was time where, like, I wanted to pack up and go. And she's like, well, what about my family? You know? I'm like, well, what about them? And she's like, I can't just leave. And I would have never left anyways, I don't think, because I had this goal already set in mind and it, you know, hadn't came true yet. But it would be tough to consider it for one thing, but then to leave for a couple months. To maximize your time there, you're going to have to spend a month or two probably.
You are. To
really figure it out. And then it would be a tough dynamic.
Well, in the world, you know, the buzzword in that atmosphere and, you know, whether it's Intel or Facebook or Amazon is being mobile. You know, are you mobile? So, you know, if you get there and you're there a month or year and a half, they're like, hey, now we're sending you to X. If you say no, you're not going to lose your job.
Right.
But they're probably like, you know what? Last time we asked Jake to move, he said no. So let's just skip him.
So this is the thing that we're looking at with our pipeline. Our growth initiative is going to bring up this issue where guys don't want to travel, you know. And a lot of the guys that have been at R&R for a while, I traveled for a long time. You know, I lived out of a suitcase in a hotel room for quite a while. I did a bodybuilding show, and my whole entire prep up until Thursday before the show was out of a hotel room. Like, it was very difficult, right? It was just a way of life. I didn't know any different at that time. It was just what I had to do. It was the price I had to pay for the season of my, you know, career. But being in that hotel or being in this house away from home, it's inconvenient, but it also changes your lifestyle. So you think about, you know, going to Arizona for a month or two. Well, the time zone is different. There's so many logistical things to it that create chaos in your life that you never consider. Every day, me and you can sit down at the same time every day pretty much and have a conversation, right? But if it's 9 o'clock here, it's 6 o'clock there, you're in the middle of dinner, I'm going to bed. Like, I'm waking up at 3, I'll call you on the way to the gym. Well, it's midnight for you, unless you're up partying and raging all night. You know, there's a lot of logistical things that aren't thought about. So it definitely creates some chaos there.
And it's going to be interesting. The Chandler, Arizona Intel facility does a lot of hiring from the Ohio State University. Ohio State University has a ton of Ohio kids, and they said if you walk through, they wouldn't let us past much of the front door when we were there. I mean, it's pretty buttoned up.
Very secured,
But they said if you walk through the plant and yell OH, half the plant sells back IO.
Really? Yeah.
So they think this will be a lot of lateral moves for people. If there's a job opening here, they'll be like, if we don't care if we're making the same amount of money, we get to go back home.
Right.
So that'll be interesting to see.
Right.
You know, if there's
the migration back from Arizona.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if they're in Arizona, they can still be Buckeye fans in Arizona and
That's
not come
true.
back to this shitty weather in the winter. So
That's true.
I don't know what the caveat there is, but so you touched on something a minute ago that I want to circle back to. So talked about renting houses, especially residential, area, renting a house.
Yep.
And I don't know if you've seen this or not. So I went to Chicago in March, and there's a presentation done on the domestic economy, based around the infrastructure and the energy sector primarily. But at the end, it started talking about the global impact of energy on the real estate market, on, the stock market, on business in general, right? Yeah. So if the energy prices are up, the economy's down. If the energy prices are down, the economy's up, right? General rule of thumb, you can look back into Europe, different areas that have attacked, say, natural gas, where they made it so unaffordable to have energy there that it tanked the economy. Yeah. And then they readjusted their language and alignment and then brought the economy back, right? His one real key point that I really latched onto, and I don't know the exact language, and I'm going to butcher this when I say it, but there was some act or law or something that Obama passed after the 2008 housing market crash, where before you would have to apply for a student loan, and this was when I was in high school, so I'm speaking out of the left side of my mouth, but basically you'd have to apply for a student loan. I want to be an engineer. I'll make $50,000 a year after I get my 4-year degree with $100,000 in debt, whatever it is, and then they would fund you so much for going to college based on your aspirations. Okay. And then something passed, I don't know what it was, where basically after that 2008 crash, instead of being able to buy a house and get a loan that you couldn't afford, you could go to college even if you couldn't afford it. So something within the student loans, if the college became their own banks, and I don't remember all the dynamic of it, but essentially that was the narrative of it. The average 4-year degree come out with $37,000 in debt, but it takes an average of 20 years to pay it off. And so the guy I was talking about, the residential market for higher income renters, long term. And what he was saying is, you have people that go have aspirations to have a good career, want to go make 6 figures, do all this, but when they get out of college, they want to get married, have kids, settle down. Yeah. They have a debt to income ratio that will not allow them to get a mortgage. Yeah. So they end up renting, and then they have an average, 20 years to pay that college off because they're doing all these different things, right? Yeah. And then they never quit paying rent. Yeah. They end up renting 10, 20 years, whatever it may be, because by the time it's, we're 35, we're 45, well, why would I want, a 30-year mortgage on this house? Have you seen any of that, or do you have insight on that?
Not a ton. And I think that debt issue is so big that it's so big that some of your larger lending organizations right now, your Huntingtons, your Chase Banks, they have programs. Give you an example for a doctor. If you're a PhD in the medical industry, it's zero down. Okay, so doctor has 2 kids, wife, great practice, makes great income, but maybe just has so much debt from college, et cetera, that he can go. They just kind of look at it differently.
Because of your income.
Because of your income. And maybe,
because of your ceiling, right?
Yeah, right? So, I think it even stems from that. Like, they had to figure out a way, when you have one of your crew guys that's making $80,000 a year, graduated high school, didn't go to college, he can go into community bank here in town, and they are ecstatic to give him a loan because he's got great credit, makes money, good kid, But then you get a doctor who goes in to go buy a $650,000 house, and they're like, this doesn't look great on paper, right? But we'll figure it out, right? So a little bit of that.
They're gonna sharpen that pencil a little bit because of the potential upside. But I've also learned from some people in my network that I've worked with doctors. that they are the most poor with finances out of some of the people that make a lot of money.
They're smart, right?
Smart.
They're the ones you want looking at, but
not take financial advice from them. And I was kind of, to some degree, shocked by that. But you think about graduate high school, I want to be a doctor. Another 8 or 10 years of school.
Yeah.
Have all this massive amount of debt. They're learning about one specific thing. Doctors aren't going to go learn about the economy as much as what they're going to learn about this particular niche that they're in.
Yeah.
And they do that for so long. I think doctors are so one lane, driven to that end goal.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, and maybe I'm speaking just on what I've heard, but how many times have you seen a doctor that can talk about the financials of breaking down a P&L or things that I had to be exposed to and learn on my own because I didn't have a choice.
Yeah, you had to figure it out.
I had no money to begin with, and we had to figure out how to get the bank to sign a deal.
Yeah, yeah. No, and I think it's a lost art. My personal doctor, Dr. Mike Campolo here, who's here in town, is like just the greatest guy in the world, smart. And could you give him a P&L and look at? Yeah, because he's grown this huge business.
It's rare.
And it's rare. But I think, these days, between malpractice insurance and everything else and, staff and being able to payroll and everything, I mean, you don't see too much of it anymore.
No. And there's something to be said, too, about the people we put around you and working within what you're really good at.
Yeah.
When me and Cody bought R&R Pipeline, we didn't have a choice but to figure it out.
Yeah.
So we had to get involved in stuff that we had no business being involved in and still don't to this day.
Yeah.
Whether it's payroll, taxes, certain areas of the P&L where we just didn't have anybody else that could do it. So we were forced to learn. Yeah. Because we didn't have a who at that point.
Yeah.
We just had to figure out how.
Yeah.
And then eventually we got the who's around us. And now what was our biggest weakness, our financial, side, our department. Now our financial, department is probably our strength out of anyone, from top to bottom. But we had to figure that out.
Yeah. And that gave you the knowledge.
And that gave us at least enough to ask questions, right? I don't consider myself knowledgeable at all in these areas, but I'm knowledgeable enough to know that something don't look right, I can probably pinpoint it or
would you
call
say
it out.
You go in those meetings, you know what the answer is going to be, but you still ask the question?
There's sometimes I do that, yeah. There's sometimes I ask questions just to create a base level conversation.
Yeah.
And then the follow-up questions, I know what the answers are going to be, so follow-up questions are relatively simple after that.
Yeah.
And then, I want to be proven wrong to get what's right. I don't care to be right. I care to get it right. So if I have to ask questions just to get the right answer, even if I know the answer to the question, that's fine.
Yeah.
Sometimes I've learned also that I communicate in such a different way, or I start on 10 steps and like that checklist analogy earlier, I might skip 3 through 7 on the tech checklist of like how I communicate.
Yeah.
Where a lot of people on the team are very detail oriented. They need every step to get to the end and understand it. Even like this podcast, I talked to Treadway, the producer, sitting over here about it. He's like, well, hell yeah, man, I'm in. I get it. I talked to Corey about it. Hell yeah, man, I'm in it. I get it.
Yeah.
I talked to someone else. They're like, what's a podcast?
Yeah.
They just don't understand.
Yeah.
And how you present something is, very powerful also. So that's been a very, very like fine-tuned,
it's an art.
Moment. It is. Presentation is a lot.
Yeah.
Asking a question. I don't need to tell you that I'm right. I don't care about that. I could care less who gets the credit for anything as long as it gets to the point it needs to go.
Yeah.
So, as far as I look at things, it's amazing what you can accomplish when no one cares who gets the credit.
Yeah.
I think Ronald Reagan, there's a couple other people that said that, but getting the right answer is the most important.
Yeah.
Who gets it isn't, to me.
Especially when you're a business owner.
It doesn't matter who gets the credit. I don't need a credit. I'm the damn business.
Yeah.
I don't need to tell you that I'm the business owner.
Yeah.
Everybody knows it that works there, right?
Yeah.
Well, I want to get the right answer.
Yeah.
And if I have to be proven wrong to get it, that's completely fine with me. I learn something new every day. I'm wrong all the time.
You're supposed to.
I'm wrong every day. More times than I'm probably right.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean I'm gonna stop trying.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So we're definitely in unknown territory right now, though, in Licking County.
It's gonna be wild, and there's, not only, with the Intel movement and, it's not bottled just to that. It's going to be the related companies. It's going to be the Easton like thing they're going to build in Johnstown. It's going to be, just wait. And it's, it's not just the fact that interest rates are high and everybody's trying to do stuff. It's also now, come January 1, our property taxes are going to look different. Insurance costs are going up because, last 3 years we've had some doozies of natural disasters around, and those insurance companies are going to be, recouping funds.
They're going to have to.
I mean, it's going to be a trifecta, and it's just going to be interesting to sit back and watch.
When's the last time in a time frame of, say, 4 to 5 weeks that you haven't seen a massive multi-billion-dollar transaction between a Google, Facebook, Amazon?
It's wild.
It's all the time.
Yeah.
And right when you think it's going to slow down or stop because interest rates are high, it doesn't.
No. Because it's not going to change it. Interest rates are high, and they might go a little higher, but is it going to
Google has $90 billion in cash. I don't think they're worried about interest rates too much, right?
No. So, I mean,
they leverage money all the time. I think they're just fine.
If they don't buy it, somebody's going to buy it.
Yeah.
And they're more worried about that, I think.
Because you can't buy dirt. Yeah. You can't recreate it. It's not something that can be forced on.
No. It's just like here in Licking County, 20, 30 years ago, somebody would have a 100-acre farm, and the kids didn't want it. The kids went to go be a lawyer, a doctor, go do this, go do that. And then, so you were seeing now, there's nobody to take it over. One of the sons isn't going to be the farmer for the next generation. So, it's going to go as far as Coshocton. And I think it's just going to be this.
I'm saying 50 miles outside of the 270 loop. Yeah. Everything within 50, maybe 100.
We'll probably have another 270 just around Johnstown before we know it.
Yeah, I'd say.
But it's going to be, we're in the heart of it, and it's going to be wild.
It's already starting to trend that way, but it's definitely going to, the next 5 years, I think, are unprecedented times for sure. So,
but I look forward to some of the stuff, new places to eat and things and stuff to see. And, there'll be good that comes out of it for sure. And, maybe more jobs for our kids and stuff and people coming in and,
At the end of it, I look at it like this. There's a train coming, and we're not stopping it. Nobody is stopping a damn train from coming. Yeah. So you can either sit there and bitch and get left behind, or you can hop on board and see what the ride looks like.
We still got many years in us here, so.
Yeah. So let's talk about, real quick, and then we'll wrap it up. So let's talk about the last few years, how, working out, prioritizing yourself, your health, your wellness has not only, helped you as a leader, as a father, as a husband. Yeah. But how has it impacted you as a business person? What's the carryover for you been like? Because that's the main narrative of this. I want to help create insight for really construction and the energy sector itself. But infrastructure is so much more than just, pipeline. Yeah. It is a massive, the real estate, the building roads, anything that helps economic development, essentially. So for you, being in the real estate side, what has it done for you to include that iron in your life?
It's clarity, feeling good, not getting in front of your closet and saying, all right, which shirt's going to make me not, feel like crap today. You can put anything on and feel like that's checked off the list. That's, it's just like, doing busy diet. I haven't had to plan what I'm going to eat for a month and a half or so.
It's not an emotional thing, right? It's already taken care of.
Yeah. So, got my stuff at home, got my stuff at work. Don't have to worry about that. So when you're at work, I feel that over the last 4 years or so of just, exercising every day, or sometimes twice a day, I have that priority. It's off the list. It's easier to work out beginning of the day. So you're not feeling like crap the rest of the day, or trying to find an hour later in the day, and
because it's distraction at the end of the day.
And you know what? I've said no a lot more in the last 4 years.
Saying no is powerful,
dude. I just got a hat that says no on it, real little. But it's just have I turned down some beers with friends in the last 4 years a lot more than normal? Yeah. Do you feel guilt? I feel bad for that a little bit. Because you're always in the back of your head, you think, like, what if something happened, right? But, also, I want to get up in the morning. I want to be jacked up about going to the gym with my buddies.
That beer on Wednesday night's not going to enhance that relationship that much, right?
No. And they know, and your true friends know your goals.
Yeah, because they're doing the same damn thing you are.
Yeah. So,
right?
So there's that. but when it comes to work, I got more energy. You just
more confident in your decision making.
It's
probably.
On my calendar.
Yeah.
When my administrator at work looks at my, what's Andrew got going on today, it says wake up. It says
piss
gym.
excellence.
It
kill
says
the
gym.
iron.
It
Yeah,
says
let's
it
go.
says 7:30 is first text, first calls, first emails. And it just goes out through the day. I mean, it's blocked off.
Yeah. So I actually do that on my phone too, where 4 to 6 is all just training.
Yeah.
And it might be just physical. It might be, for me also the mental side of it. But normally 4 to 6, no matter what, non-negotiable, I'm taking care of myself.
Yeah.
So saying no, when you said that, I love that, because just saying no is a complete sentence sometimes.
Yeah. That's why
you
I tell
want
my
the slice
wife.
of pizza? You want this donut? Nope.
Yeah. I tell my wife all the time. I said, you don't have to say anything else.
It kills the conversation.
Yeah.
Don't try to justify why you said no. Say
You're not
no,
trying to be a
that's
dick.
it.
You're not trying to be a dick.
No. It's just no.
Yeah.
It's just no.
You
It's simple.
No.
Yeah.
It's like golf. I played once this year. I played on Monday in Lincoln Memorial Hospital outing. I always do.
That was supposed to be one outing of the year, and I ended up having to find a replacement because the business took.
Well, I just, people love golf. I just can't, I would sit here. I'd rather sit here with you 4 hours and have discussion than go on the golf course and play golf for 4 hours. It's not the golf in the 4 hours. It's the 30 text messages that I need to respond to that are work related.
It's
phone calls,
catching back up.
Yeah.
It's taking calls during. What did you miss? I get it.
So, that was a long way around the block on that. But I think just if I had to use one word, it'd be clarity throughout the day.
Yeah. So I think the one thing for me, without a doubt, clarity is definitely one of them. If you're going to look at some C words, confidence, willingness to commit, consistency. I look at a task now. The podcast for me is such a uncomfortable thing. My 2 biggest fears growing up were having my shirt off in front of people, and now I do it every day. Just look myself in the mirror and say, fuck you for being soft. And then talking in front of other people. A group of people, a classroom, them were my 2 biggest fears growing up.
Now what are you doing?
And I am currently taking them head on every single day.
Yeah.
Just to prove to myself that I can do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And whether this thing is great or it fails, I promise you it's going to be successful to me.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to quit unless it just don't make sense and I don't love doing it anymore. So failure to me is more about quitting than anything. But I'm conquering 2 fears. Hell, I'm going to start doing podcasts with my shirt off unless it's with Corey, because then I'll look fat. But geez, all ripped up.
Well, and you do it for yourself, right? But
100%.
Who else are you doing it for? You're doing it for your girls. So they just look at you and,
Me and Freya hop on the mics all the time. I did an interview with her before kindergarten.
Yeah.
Talked to her for 10 minutes. I'm going to ask her, similar questions for every year till she graduates. And then when she graduates, I'll have an hour worth of tape to show her every year.
Yeah. But, at the end of the day, you just want her to think in her head, well, he wasn't scared to do that.
Right.
Doesn't matter what it is.
She's starting kindergarten. She's starting this brand new adventure, and I'm starting a podcast, and they basically happen within the same month.
Yeah.
It's all brand new.
Yeah.
But that's what, that gets me excited.
Yeah.
It really does. I want to touch on one other thing real quick. So kind of back to the busy diet.
Mm-hmm.
Corey has done something that so many people overlook and don't understand. He doesn't create diets and training plans. He creates lifestyles of change.
Yep.
And we talked about this morning where what we do is very, very simple. Like, it's simple, right? You're busy? Okay, I am too. All right, let's try this diet and see how it works out. It's pretty simple.
Yeah.
Monday through Friday, you're not getting the gratification of donuts, for breakfast, which make you feel like dog shit anyways.
Yeah.
Who wants to do that? And then the beer on Wednesday night, and then being shit hammered on Thursday morning, right? Okay, but on weekends you can still drink some. You can have a cigar at the Buckeye game with a bourbon. You can eat.
Well, you don't want to be the turd that shows up to a tailgate and like, well, I can't. I mean,
I'm on the 7-day-a-week chicken and broccoli diet, right?
Yeah.
The lifestyle of what Corey's created is flexibility.
Yeah.
And it's not a diet; it is a lifestyle.
Yeah.
Corey was talking about this morning, like he goes to an event on a Saturday night, drinks too much bourbon, he's about half shit hammered, and he's out there 5% body fat.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? But he, what he does though? He gets up on Sunday morning.
Yeah.
He puts in that time on Sunday morning. He doesn't miss Monday through Friday, right? So it's a small little sacrifice, but what you can achieve, the greatness that can be achieved, and the impact that you can have on generations to come of your family, especially if you don't have a foundation of, fitness or wellness in your family.
Yeah.
You know, I got looked down on for my weight loss journey at 14 years old, right? Like weightlifting was not a thing that was in my family at all. And it was never really approved whatsoever. But I promise you I'm doing pretty damn good now compared to what I was or would have been. And the ones that disapproved, I bet they're not disapproving anymore, right?
It doesn't matter once you...
Doesn't matter. So there's power in not caring what people think also, you know, regardless of who it is. Back to saying no.
Yeah.
But the busy diet, you know, and what Corey's done with the lifestyle, the application carry over to what we do in business and everything, it's absolutely game changer.
Yeah. Well, it's, you know, it's instead of, you know, there's three, my wife, my son, and myself. And for the last many years, you know, our entertainment half the time was going out and grabbing something to eat. You know, she doesn't love to cook. It's fine. I'm busy. It's fine. And it gave us something to do, right? But you're eating chicken wings Tuesday, tacos.
You are what you eat.
Right? So you're doing all that stuff. And then come Friday, Saturday, what do you want for dinner? I don't know. We've done it already. Now
it's like a diluted product, right? You don't enjoy it.
Yeah. The toughest part of busy diet has been for me is saying no on Sunday. You know, no Sunday fun day stuff for the most part. But come Friday, on Wednesday or Thursday, I'm talking to her like, where do you want to go?
You're tailgating at the Catholic game on Friday or Saturday. You're watching Buckeyes on Saturday. It's come Sunday, it's like, do I really want to go do this shit all over again, right?
Yeah, you got to get your head, because there's been plenty of times where on Sunday you live it up all Sunday and do whatever. And then
but it never stops either, and it carries over into Monday. And that's why that Sunday
you wake up, you're
to,
just like, oh, God, I got to go to the gym.
But here's the thing. If you have to have a beer watching the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah, it's not going to kill you.
No, it's not.
Oh, but you're saying if you have to.
No, but like in your mind, if you have to have that beer and you can't just sit there and hang out, then you probably have a problem, right? In all reality,
I know
if that drink of choice is going to dictate whether you have fun or not, then the drink is probably the problem and not what your entertainment is.
Yeah.
So it like creates a somewhat of a little minor reality check on that Sunday. Like, hey,
as long as you can get past like 6 o'clock or so, you're smooth going.
What, a.m.? You waking up in kegs and eggs, or what we got going on over here? All right, well, we'll wrap it up with the kegs and eggs.
Yeah.
So that was Andrew Guanciale. I appreciate
Thanks
it, man.
For
this
having
was
me
a
on,
lot of fun. We'll be doing this again. Good friend, great in the community. For all your real estate needs, go to the Guanciale Group, real estate guru over here. Andrew will get you taken care of.
Thanks, brother.
So
Appreciate
it. A lot of fun.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
This episode is brought to you by Max Effort Muscle. For all your supplement needs, go to maxeffortmuscle.com.